Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching again and listening again. I don't know if you know me, but my name is Jameson Sharp, and I'm sitting here with
Pedro Sauer.
All right, and you're listening and watching the Jiu Jitsu Takedown podcast. And we are here at Gracie Huamaita in Kansas City. Not only my home academy, but Professor Sauer here is not only like a legend and top-level Brazilian Jiu Jitsu professor and master in Gracie Jiu Jitsu, but he got his start at Gracie Huamaita down there in Brazil. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Professor? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, actually, I got started in downtown Rio de Janeiro. The first academy that was in Avenida Rio Branco, 151, 151, 18 storage high. That's where I started. And after a few years there, we moved to another location. There was Vasco da Gama. And we had a little period of time before Vasco da Gama to Clube do Flamengo, Clube de Remo da Lagoa. Yeah. And after that, we moved for good at the Gracie Huamaita.
Right. And you got your start in Jiu-Jitsu when I guess you were teamed up with Rickson as one of his friends when you was a child?
Well, we used to hang out on the streets. I used to be neighbors. Helio and my parents, we used to live in the same neighborhood.
Oh, is that right?
So when I was a kid, I met Rickson in the streets, and we just hang out on the street. I never knew nothing about Jiu-Jitsu. Rickson was a very simple guy, a very normal guy, just one of us, just one of the buddies. And we just, like kids, we just used to do teenage stuff when we were little kids. And I was not very interested about the Jiu-Jitsu in the beginning. And I didn't know nothing about Jiu-Jitsu, never seen it. I'd done a judo before, I'd done capoeira, I'd done some boxing and taekwondo. That was kind of what I did in martial arts.
That's really neat. That's really interesting. Now, when you got your start in Jiu-Jitsu, you said you wasn't really interested in it. What was that deciding factor that made you change your thinking to say, hey, hold up here, this is something here?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when I went to the first time to the Gracie Academy, and Helio was, Grandmaster Helio, it was not there. It was, Rickson was there. Rickson was a young kid. And it was some older people there, not Helio, he was not present, but I remember Horion being around, right. Helson was around. And what happened that the first time that I went to the Gracie Academy and I saw a training between Rickson, that's at the time was a green belt. So we just little kids, 15 years old.
Sure.
And I saw Rickson train against a purple belt. That's the only thing that I remember. I don't remember who the guy was. And when I saw the train, I was in shock. Yeah. I couldn't believe. I couldn't understand one thing that's going on. Yeah. I thought that those two guys were just kind of trying to kill each other in a kind of very vigorous kind of playground. I didn't understood a thing that's going on. And I was like, no way, I'm never going to do that. This is crazy. And I pretty much stayed almost a couple of years without come back to the mat. Yeah. And I knew Rickson from the street. He always talked to me, Pedro, gotta come. Say, no, you guys like to grab men too much, man. I used to kind of play a little bit. I like to grab girl. That was my excuse. Rickson just laughed, just smiled, But anyway, when the time came that I visit again the Gracie Academy, Rickson asked me for a ride, so I drove him over there, and it was a parking spot right in the front of the academy. And I had to take the spot. Sure. So I parked the car there and I told Rickson, I'm not going to do nothing. Well, when I go up there, I saw Grandmaster Helio. Right. And Helio was sitting there in the front desk, shook my hand on. I felt the strength of vigorous hand, big hand, very kind of direct, very straightforward guy. And he like, oh, this the guy you telling me that was a boxer? And I was like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. No, you come here to visit, you got to do it. Oh, no. So Helio pretty much dragged me. Yeah. Put me 16-ounce glove and line up some guys towards me. Hoyler was one of them.
Hoyler, yeah.
And the outcome, I understood very quickly how unfair Jiu-Jitsu was. Sure. And especially when you talk about any kind of physical altercation, fights on the streets. Right. Because Jiu-Jitsu has a very smart ability, peculiar ability to bring the opponent to your environment. It's like this, a Jiu-Jitsu practitioner wants to grab the guy, wants close distance. So he wants to be very close to the guy. But to do this, instead of walk forward, you walk backwards. Yeah, you draw him in. You draw the guy in. So what happens when the guy comes moving forward, and now you decide to move forward, we have the two bodies colliding. And that brings the odds too much for Jiu-Jitsu. This is a little trick that, because Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, he'll be happy if he's not throwing a punch.
Right.
And he'll be even more happy to not receive a punch, of course. But the idea is, because you're pretty happy to not go after punch, you create this distance. You create this illusion distance between you and your opponent. You keep your legs, if you have to, as a distraction. But what you does, you make one guy moving back. This guy he's going to try to punch. Right. When he walk in to punch, you collide towards him. And that's the most unfair detail that, in my personal opinion, that can happen in Jiu-Jitsu, because you can bring people to our territory, very friendly, minimal risk, and now you are in an environment.
It's incredible stuff. It's a deception
exactly.
that you cannot see. But Gracie Jiu Jitsu prepares you to see around the corners and see the possibilities. And it's extremely effective.
Exactly.
Yeah, so fast forward, you started training with the Gracie family, and you come to the United States. And once you get here to the United States, everybody out there has seen your video of going against, what was his name, Lance Burton?
Batchleor.
Batchleor. He was Mr. Utah. He's 250 pounds, bodybuilder. And here, Master Professor Pedro Sauer here. Can you tell us a story about that? That's really interesting, because people out there, they see that.
Yep. Well, the real story about this is that Royce just got done fighting UFC 1.
Okay.
And when I was there in Salt Lake City, Utah, I got called to go to a radio station. It was a K-Bear 101.
Okay.
And I didn't speak as much English at the time. I had 3 years of America, give or take. So I spoke some, but not as much to having kind of the deep conversation. And when I was there at the radio station, they saw me walking there, and somebody made a comment that I was too skinny, I was too small. And I was not there to hear the comment. Right. But what happened is, the announcers, the radio guys, they kind of look at the Lance, thought that hey Lance, I bet you can take him. Oh yeah, I think I can take him. And they started this conversation here. And one thing that not so many people knows, and I didn't know that either, that Lance, he did some wrestling before.
Okay.
So he was not just a bodybuilder fresh.
Sure.
He was a bodybuilder with wrestling kind of experience. Because in Utah, every little kid, everybody in Utah wrestles.
Okay.
Utah, the prophet of the Mormon
Joseph
church,
Smith,
Joseph Smith, was a wrestler.
Oh, is that right?
So tell me which family from Utah doesn't want to wrestle? So that's what happened. Utah was that's why Mark Schultz ended up to be in Utah, right?
I see that, okay.
Mark Schultz was the wrestling coach for BYU, one of the most accomplished wrestlers on the planet. Dave Schultz, it was on his way to Utah when, the guy DuPont decided to, in a jealous rampage, crazy kind of mechanic, decided to take his life away. So he was moving to Utah at the time. And Utah was a mecca. It was a good wrestlers over there, very good people. Well, the Sanderson brothers that was there too, I believe. I forgot their name now, but one of my students, Ricky Landale, who's an incredible guy, incredible artist, incredible practitioner, one of the biggest monster in Jiu-Jitsu, one of the hidden treasures of Jiu-Jitsu is this kid, little Ricky, that teach Jiu-Jitsu everywhere he goes. And he's in wrestling, he's doing like this 1%, things that he does that you progress every day, 1%. Incredible kid, super smart, super bright, and he was teaching the Sanderson's family. That was another.
The Sandersons.
Yeah, right. And they're from Heber, Utah.
Okay.
And on the early days, the dad came to one of those matches.
Oh, the Gracie Challenge matches?
Gracie Challenge.
Okay, now we're getting to it, yeah.
Yep. So that's how it used to be Utah. Utah was a pretty tough environment, pretty hardcore.
So when you got the telephone call for the challenge, what was going through your mind?
Well, actually, it was not a day in the office. At the time, it was not just one telephone, because I used to have guys every day.
Sure.
We had guys every day come to the school, and they did the challenge matches. We brought the gloves. We had an offer. Horion put an offer of $100,000 in 1991. It was $100,000 in the Black Belt magazine, offering that kind of money for whoever could beat a Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Sure.
And I was in Utah, black belt, 150 pounds.
There you go.
So everybody came to the set. But the catch was, if you want to make $100,000, you got to put $10,000 down. If you lose, you lose 10,000.
You got to put
that
some
was a
skin.
catch.
Yeah.
But if you're already here, let's not waste our time. All right? You already make this trip. You're already here. So let's go ahead and do the challenge But what we do now, let me put some boxing gloves on you. You can do whatever you thought you could do. You can do anything you want. And I'm just going to put you down on the ground, make you say ankle.
You can make an example of him about how effective Gracie Jiu Jitsu is. Because at the time, nobody knew about it.
Nope, nobody knew about it. It was pretty deceiving when you saw Royce fighting, when you saw me and Mr. Utah fighting. You look at that thing like, what the hell is going on over there? Why you stop the fight? What's going on? Well, nobody understood Jiu-Jitsu. I think today we gotta say thank you very much to Joe Rogan.
Right.
You know, that is over there in UFC, is a brilliant guy, smart mind, understand about mechanic, understand Jiu-Jitsu perfectly, and he can educate the people there.
He knows his top level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, he's very good.
He's very good.
Yeah, he's a good practitioner. He trained with Eddie Bravo. That's another incredible practitioner. The guy is like a talent.
I agree.
And strong and flexible. So that kind of quality breeds to other people. So Joe Rogan is somebody that we all gotta be very thankful to him, because he's educating the population.
He really is. And he goes into the minute details about the techniques, not only in UFC, but on his podcast. And he's making it clear and easy for people to follow along and be educated. It's great stuff. I love it myself. Professor Sauer. Speaking of, I was going to get to did you start out in California with Horion?
No, I started Jiu-Jitsu in Brazil.
Right. Well, I know that, but when you came to the United States,
yes, I moved to California.
You moved to California. You was out there at Torrance with the academy with the Helio.
Actually, before the academy the academy was inaugurated in July of 1990. I moved here in May of 1990. So in May of 1990, I was teaching. I was sleeping in the garage.
Okay.
I slept in the garage with myself. It was me, Grandmaster Helio, in Limão. We slept in Rickson's garage.
Amazing. Those are things we don't really hear about.
Yep.
It's fantastic to hear about the stories like that, because a lot of people forget that this started from a garage.
Yep.
And it grew.
And we all used to be starving.
Yeah.
We are completely broke at the time. We tried to get fights with anybody.
Yeah.
We tried to fight the mailman. The guy who delivered the mail. Hey, come here, put a gi on, let's try it out. You kind of look fit, come on. We tried to do anything, because we, a bunch of Brazilian guys, very incredible amount of talented people, but everybody was broke.
Sure.
And we drove around every karate school, every taekwondo school, every other martial arts school was packed. And we're like, come on, man, how come all those people doing karate, kung fu, taekwondo, and we have this jiu-jitsu here, but nobody knows. Nobody cares, nobody understands that. That's how the challenge started happening.
Then the challenge started happening. People started taking notice because everybody was getting whooped. And you know what? You guys put Gracie Jiu Jitsu on the map and made it the premier and most effective, not only deadly, but effective martial art known to man.
Yep.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, because the history needs to be preserved.
Yep.
And I think a book needs to be written about it.
That's true.
And let me ask you, you started your own journey in Jiu-Jitsu as far as your own business journey. And tell us a little bit about that, where you travel and what you do nowadays and how you do seminars. And you have your own association.
Yeah, we got 150 academies in association. And when I started the association was late 92. I started the first Jiu-Jitsu association because I was teaching a guy from Virginia Beach.
Okay.
His name was Frank Cucci. And I was teaching over there in Virginia Beach every month.
He's a Navy SEAL, isn't he?
Navy SEAL, yeah.
Yeah,
That's how he got me in the SEAL. Frank, a great guy. And that's how he got me in the military Navy SEAL, was through Frank. And I did a lot of demos. We put a program together for the SEALs. And the program is still there even today.
Yep. Sure
we have a black belt that teach at the base. Incredible guys, all from Virginia Beach, from Frank's school. And it was in the beginning, it was pretty hard. I started my association in 92 because Frank. And after that, I met Greg Nelson. I met Jeff Curran. I started meeting other guys, and the association started growing. When I had about 30 academies associated, Rickson Gracie, he decided to start his own association.
Okay, and that's the JJG?
No, that's way before.
Okay.
That's in the 90s.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
That's in the 90s. That was like in 95. So at 95, 96, I already have 30 schools. And when Rickson Gracie started his association, not federation, but association,
sure,
I went to the whole entire Pedro Sauer Association, 30 schools. And I told everybody, I say, guys, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be associated with Rickson Gracie. And that's my instructor. And I owe loyalty, I owe respect to this guy. So the Pedro Sauer Association from now on is over. And I gave to Rickson pretty much 30 academies. And we all merged to Rickson Gracie Association. And we stayed there until 2000.
Is that right?
Yeah, for about 4 or 5 years we stayed in the association. And after that we have some issues that was happening in Minnesota through some, Greg Nelson was an incredible guy. One of my black belts at that, he's not a black belt at the time. That was early, around 2000. So anyway, Greg Nelson, another guy who was associated too, and the guy didn't like Greg. Anyway, we started these little things.
Sure.
And they tried to get to Greg to be out the association, to put him out of the association. And I didn't agree with that. I said, no, Greg Nelson is an outstanding guy. You will not do that, because this is not right. And Greg is an outstanding guy. And if somebody doesn't like what Greg's doing, you really got to investigate.
Sure.
You know, because Greg's just a top-notch class, unbelievable martial arts practitioner. And it's still with me in today. He's one of the highest ranking in our association. And the guy is just incredible. So that's the reason that I was kind of stepped out of the association with Rickson, with the Rickson Gracie Association. Sure. And after that, God kind of took Rockson, kind of decided to call him too early, and we lost Rockson.
Okay.
And when we lost Rockson, it was so hard for everybody else. Rickson and Kim, the whole, the family was very harsh for everybody. So what happened that Rickson and Kim, they didn't want to deal too much with the association because it's a headache. We got it out. And what happened that after 2001, I started Pedro Sauer Association again.
Okay.
And today we have 19 years later, we got 150 academies. We form over 150 black belts.
That's incredible.
And every single one top-notch guys. Every single one is just good people.
You breed quality.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate that, and I've recognized that. I get a lot of your black belts out there, not only listening and watching this, but they comment, and they've been instrumental in being supportive of what I'm doing here, and I can appreciate that. I really can. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
And Professor, let me ask you something. Do you have? I always ask this question. I ask this to Hoyler. Do you have an actual short story for us about Grandmaster Helio and you being in the family down there, out there training jiu-jitsu 6 hours a day in Brazil?
Well, with Grandmaster Helio, I have a lot of stories. I got a lot of time. He was my instructor, for many years. I got a chance to see Helio when I was 15 years old, and I moved to America. I was 32, and I moved here with him. We basically sleep together in the garage. And Helio always liked me he always picked me for like every time he showed technique to the class, he always called, Pedrinho, come here. And I was a small guy, I was gentle, I was very relaxed. So Helio likes to show moves against me.
Sure.
And at the same time, he likes the way I was training. Number one, Helio was a good friend of my mom.
Okay.
He ended up meeting my mom. And by the way, they died on the same day, believe it or not.
Is that right?
Helio and my mom died in the same day, same year, just 4 hours apart. They passed away in the same day. So that was kind of another big shock for me. But because my mom and Helio was friends, I believe my mom probably told Helio the way I was. I was a troublemaker. I got kicked out from 12 schools when I was a kid. I was a troublemaker, very hyper. And Helio, So my mom used to say, hey, Helio, Pedro's kind of crazy. And Helio's like, Miriam, it doesn't look crazy. I don't see crazy on Pedro. Helio, he's crazy. He's been kicked out from 12 school. He's this, he's that. He's always hyper. He took medicine. He's been doing treatments for all these years. All those electrical shocks, all this stuff. He done it all. Helio's like, Miriam, I still don't buy that. And Helio asked my mom, say, Miriam, if I give Pedro $100 bill and tell him to eat it, you think he'll eat it or he put it in his pocket? And my mom kind of awkward said, I'm pretty sure he's gonna put it in his pocket. Say, Miriam, he's not that crazy. So that's what he did with me. He kind of got me one time on the mat. I remember I was in downtown.
Sure.
Downtown Rio de Janeiro. So I was a little kid.
Right.
16 years old, probably, young kid.
Yeah.
And when I was in downtown, Helio got in a mount position. He was kind of do a little sparring. He got in a mount position and I tried to escape. and I push here, push there, elbow escape here, elbow escape there, push, elbow escape, try, could not escape. And Helio put a hand on my neck, one hand on my neck, and pretty soon he told me, so you think you're crazy?
Oh no.
When he said that, like my eyes kind of make eye contact with Helio, it's like, what? Hey, you can trick your parents, son of a gun, but you don't treat me.
Right, he's calling your bluff.
He called my bluff there, and you know what happened? That was the first time in my life that somebody called my bluff.
And got your attention.
And got my attention. The problem that I got terrified because I'm like, my goodness, this guy didn't believe what I'm saying here. How many other people does not believe in that?
Sure.
How many other? Because I thought I could trick everybody. I thought I was crazy.
Sure.
I believed that I was crazy.
I get that.
So Helio kind of reversed that. And after that, I think my personality got built back again, but with more respectful.
Sure.
Because before I had a good manners because I had good parents, but I was wild. I was very agitated. And what happened now? I have to put everything in perspective. So I just calm down. I end up to be more calm, more relaxed. I never been a fighter. I never been aggressive. I always been the more technical side.
Sure.
You know, that's always been my style. I've never been like a competitor that can win tournaments. I compete in every belt, from white to black. I compete in every belt, in every tournament, and most of the time, me and Hoyler end up on the finals.
Is that right?
And Hoyler won every time, yep.
You know, that's the thing with Gracie Jiu Jitsu. It changes and transforms people and changes lives.
Yep.
And it's an amazing thing. Mm-hmm. And it changes kids' behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Completely. I've seen it myself, so I've witnessed it myself. You know, this is interesting. So, Professor Sauer, what is in the future for you? What is the future of Master Professor Sauer?
Well, now I'm still devoted to the association because I'm devoted to Grandmaster Helio. I cannot let what being passed to me, I cannot let this die.
No.
And today I think I see a lot of people complain about lack of self-defense or too much competition and treason. I see a lot of things, but the bottom line that I don't see too much emphasis on the strategy of Grandmaster Helio Gracie's basic principles. That was the survival principle. You have to survive. You have to protect yourself. You have to buy time, because if you are fighting against somebody and you're smaller and you have another guy bigger, you will be in a bad spot. Independently of who you are, you're going to be in the bottom.
Sure.
And when you know how to survive, you just buy time, and eventually you can make the guy say uncle. That's why Royce fought to no time limit.
Sure.
Right? Because, hey, I'm giving up 50 pounds here, 100 pounds, so no time limit.
Yeah, he's going to catch him either way.
So you gotta let me work until I get to this. I'm not going to be able to snap any submission in a second. Could have happened, but that's not the odds.
Right.
The odds will be more like, a bigger guy has to be there until he get a little bit tired, or until you kind of start get inside the muscle memory. You start attacking the guy a little bit to see how he defend the first time. You attack again, see how he defend again. Oh, he defend twice, the same thing. The third time you snap a move. So that's what we need, and that's how Helio.
You start learning your opponent's habits and tics.
Exactly.
All
his muscle memories.
Right.
We get the muscle memory, and after that you can go ahead and auto-lize Jiu-Jitsu. And that's precisely Helio Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure.
So when you talk about self-defense, it's more like a self-protection.
Right.
We protect ourselves because you can start, I can start to look for things if we're in the street and I feel myself threatened by you, and I see that you kind of got in a stand that I can see your right hand back, so I can smell that the right hand could be your punch that's going to come.
Sure.
In Jiu-Jitsu, if you understand self-defense, I can slow motion imagine yourself getting base. I can slow motion predict yourself closing your fist. I can slow motion start imagine you swinging the right arm. So what you do, I walk to the other side where you don't have base, where you have to protect, where you have to change your base, where you have to use your weak arm. This is called self-defense.
Yeah.
It's a self-protection. In Jiu-Jitsu, when you understand Jiu-Jitsu, give us the ability to read people before they do anything. We know probabilities.
Sure.
And that's how we learn when you play Jiu-Jitsu with self-defense. When you play Jiu-Jitsu with sport, you only put the money what's going to give you an award.
That's the big differences right there. Survival versus, sport, and, just doing it for bragging rights.
Well, you're doing for the points.
Sure.
I need to score the points. So it doesn't matter how much it's going to cost me. I put my hand right between your legs because I got to go for the sweep. And nothing wrong with that. This is a beautiful mechanic to do in jiu-jitsu, in sport, and I advise everybody to do it. But make sure that you do your homework as a self-defense if you want to build longevity. Because without the self-defense, you cannot have longevity.
Sure.
Because we cannot fight for moves after the move's been done towards us, especially after getting older. When you get older and you fight for moves that's not there, it's like, come on, man. You guys put in a triangle and you're going to try to escape now. The guy's got a triangle perfect locked. Come on, man. The guy had your arm straight like a bow. You want to try to escape now? No, the guy has 2 hands on your neck, squeezing. You want to try to escape now? So that's why it's important for us to understand the self-defense aspect. It's the same thing. Imagine a boxer trying to defend punches after the punch got connected in the jaw.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's not giving your opponent opportunities, but knowing what their next move could or should be.
Yep. And that's the most incredible chess, that's the human chess game, because what started playing 2, 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. And when you transfer this, and that's my personal opinion, my personal hint here, when we transfer this to a social environment, so now in a social environment, you're arguing with something, you can be with your wife, can be with your boss, can be with somebody else on the street, you no longer attached to the present. We attach for the next move. Hey, if I say this, the guy can say this and this and this. If I say that, he can. I start playing with probabilities.
Right.
Because over here, my mind is no longer stuck on the present. It's stuck on the future.
Right.
So the same thing that my mind should be over here on the mat. When we grapple, when we train jiu-jitsu, you should be thinking about the future. You should not be thinking about the guy's getting your neck. It's already too late. He got your hand on the neck already. Right?
Yeah, I get it. It's chess on the mats. It's chess in real life if you're surviving.
Yep.
And it's knowing 3 or 4 moves ahead of time.
Yep.
Because you have that muscle memory and you have been there before.
Exactly.
It's incredible stuff.
Yep.
It really is.
Yep.
Well, Professor, Mestre Sauer, I appreciate you sitting down and sharing with the audience out there and people who are going to watch this. We really appreciate you coming to Kansas City, sitting down with this, spending some time with this, and promoting one of our hermanos.
Carlos Vargas.
Carlos Vargas.
Yes, great guy. He's been
Love Carlos.
I remember Carlos when he was a little kid. He's been around for 14 years. So one of the greatest guys, and it's always a pleasure. Anytime that I see jiu-jitsu, anything that I can do to help people to understand jiu-jitsu in a better way, in more using more like a good manners, more integrity, more discipline, more respect. Anytime you can bring these values to jiu-jitsu, I'm all about there, because jiu-jitsu is true. The art of jiu-jitsu is true priceless.
Sure.
It's not just a fighting.
No.
Jiu-jitsu is a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And we can really be a better human beings when you start to understand that.
I agree. And it's an amazing thing. It transforms lives, and it gives you purpose in your life.
Yep.
It gives you structure and discipline.
Yep.
And that's so important if you're going to be successful.
The last thing, you told me what I'm going to be doing. So one thing that I do quite often lately, I do camps in Brazil. That's a pretty kind of cool thought. Is 2 times a year we have camps in Brazil that I take people there for 10 days.
Oh.
Yep, and we visit the Gracie Huamaita.
Okay.
We go there to Hoker all the time. We have a school that I helped to start. I'm one of the founders of the school in Petrópolis. That's right by Helio Gracie's house.
Okay.
Gracie Petrópolis. One of the representatives, his name is Breno Angelo. He's one of the guys that I took.
I correspond with him on Instagram a lot.
Breno Angelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Breno Angelo. I took him to the Gracie Academy when he was a purple belt.
Is that right?
Yep, and I helped him to get up to black belt. Great guy. So anybody who ever thought about going to Brazil, we have a beautiful spot in Brazil. All the Grandmaster Helio Gracie belongs. His car, his bed, his table, tons of things. The wash machine from the Gracie Academy. We have all this in our own bed and breakfast over there in Brazil. And that's what we socialize there, around that, eat, sleep, and drive around Petrópolis.
Gonna have to go check that out, because I might even stay there, because I have to go down and get my knee replaced in Brazil anyway.
Okay.
Because I injured it doing jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like something I should do anyway.
Yep.
You know. So if you're out there, check him out. Check what is it called again?
It's in Petrópolis.
In Petrópolis.
Petrópolis is the town, name of the town. And we have a bed and breakfast. That used to be my grandfather's home, summer home, and it's a paradise. We have a waterfall in the backyard. It's just a paradise. Pool, it's just unbelievable. You see birds, monkeys, you see all kind of animals there. Gorgeous. Temperature is perfect. The oxygen is perfect. It's just a paradise.
Get a hold of this association if you want to visit that bed and breakfast. I would highly suggest it because I'm going to be going down there and checking that out myself.
You're going to like it.
Professor, thank you so much for sitting down and hanging out with us and just sharing with everybody out there. And well, I think that's going to be it, and I think that's all we got today. And so, hey, I appreciate you guys out there watching, listening. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share. Because we need you guys to share. We need our Brazilian and Gracie Jiu Jitsu brothers out there to share this, okay? Because the man himself is sitting next to me, and he wants his story shared. Anyways, hey, my name is Jameson Sharp, and this is
Pedro Sauer.
And you're listening and watching the Jiu Jitsu Takedown podcast. Appreciate you having me here.
Thank you, brother.
And well, see you guys later. Take care.
Be safe,
Have
guys.
a good one.
Thank you.